And welcome back to the channel, guys. You join me again on another Milligan Auto Diagnostics video. Today we are looking at a little Corsa and it's absolutely pouring down outside, so I'm going to try my best to film as much as I possibly can. So I haven't really uploaded much in the past week or so. I was recently over at Gutman in Handbrake, so I'll put a couple of little clips in amongst this while I'm talking. It was a good trip. We were doing some ADAS calibrations. They were running me through some of the other equipment that they use kind of on a daily. So it was a good time. Met some nice people as well. It's good to see what happens in the background over at Hella as well. So the remote team, met all of them. Good to see their faces rather than just through a chat box. But yeah, hopefully we've got many more sort of visits with them or events coming up that we can maybe join in or tag along with. But this is our vehicle out here today that we're working on. So let's crack on. I'll phone the customer, get the keys off him, and we'll see what we're dealing with here. So right enough, it is this little Corsa F. Now this is a 2020 plate, and the customer has told us that basically parking brake doesn't work. It's got ABS lights on. When he presses a parking brake, there's a funny noise coming from it. I've pressed the parking brake, it sounds like almost sounds like the ABS pump is kicking in when you're pressing it. I don't know. But yeah, these have obviously got the two calipers on the back, and you know, there's no cable in between. Sometimes you get like a wee electronic motor which operates a cable. This has just got the two calipers at the back, which are electronically controlled via that button or via the parking brake module. So it's a bit strange where that noise is coming from. But I'm going to get the S20 plugged into it, do a health scan on it, see where we go for there. I'm a bit worried in case this has got some issues with like the lane assist and all that. I'm hoping one fault's going to be causing all of the rest of them to kind of fail and go into a kind of fail-safe mode and not work. That's my hope. But yeah, I'll show you first what's actually on the dash and what we're testing, and then we'll get the S20 plugged into it to see what fault codes we've got. So I'll show you once I turn ignition on. Basically, we've got all these lights on, TPMS, ESP, so it's quite a bit, tyre under inflation, you name it. And like I said, there's a weird noise coming from the handbrake. Don't quite know what's going on with that yet, but we're just going to do a health scan and see if there's anything that's kind of leading us to what this could possibly be. So for that, I'm going to get the S20 Mega Max plugged into it. And a thing that I always forget to mention while I'm recording these videos is I will leave a link in the description for the links to HGS data and the S20 Mega Max, where you can inquire for a demo or whatever it is for HGS and the S20. And of course, I'll leave the link for the Topdon X-Link in there. You'll get a discount. I'll put the discount code underneath that link if you want to go and check that out. So what we're going to do is get this plugged in. Now what will probably... There we are. So we've got the dongle plugged in and it's turned blue, so what I'm going to do is just leave that there. I'll get the tablet set up and then we'll get a health scan done on it. Right, so as we speak, we're just running through a health scan of the vehicle. It is now scanning all the control modules. It's actually already done. We've got quite a lot of fault codes here, so I'm going to have a look at them and then we'll see what ones we're going to tackle first. Because like I said, sometimes if you get like a fault, it can cause other things to kind of go offline or not work properly. So that's what I'm hoping for anyway. So we'll just need to wait and see. I'm going to have a look at these fault codes and I'll come back to you guys once I've done that. Right, so let's see what we've got here. So in powertrain we've got two. So those two are U codes. So we're going to look at them last. On brake system, ABS, ESP, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we've got 6 faults. Actually displays it, we've got 6 faults there, so I didn't really need to count that. Passive safety, you've got one fault, thermal management, one fault, advanced driver assist system, so ADAS. Oh my god, we've got a lot of faults on ADAS, guys. So that's a bad thing for me because ADAS wise, I'm not going to be able to perform my static calibration obviously out here. That's more of a workshop environment job, so this could turn into an issue if it is ADAS related. So you can see here we've got trouble codes C110D, electronic parking brake, function faulty. Got a C1555, which is ABS, unknown status, not really sure about that fault code. We've got a C003A, which is General Electric fault. We've got wheel speed sensor rear left, well that's a known one. Fault in electrical circuit. So this C003A is the wheel speed sensor rear right, so we've got two wheel speed sensor faults. Now it does say here there are different types of RPM sensors or ABS sensors. I'll just zoom in a wee bit so you guys can see it. So there are different types of wheel speed sensors. So basically there's inductive and there's Hall effect. Inductive is going to be a sine wave and Hall effect is going to be a square wave. So nowadays you're more than likely to see Hall effect, which is a square wave. Earlier cars you're going to see sine wave. Looking at that just now, we have got two rear ABS sensors that are complaining of an electrical fault in their circuit. Now, these Corsas are renowned for failures in the wiring looms on these cars. They are just stinking with it, so I've lost count of how many times I've repaired one side. Now, I've never had two sides go at once, so I don't know if having those two failed sensors on the back is causing the ADAS system and all the other systems like the parking brake to go into a kind of fault mode or a fail-safe, is that what you want to call it? I'm not really sure, but basically they're not going to work as long as the ABS is reporting that it's not getting any wheel speed from the back. So it kind of makes sense in a way that all these other faults are kind of coming up. The other faults that we've got in passive safety is faulty power supply. Not interested in that. That's maybe the battery that's going low. ADAS system, we have got combustion engine, so it's so we've got, there's an example there, ESP ECU, we've got a signal faulty, so I'll show you that just now. So we've got signal faulty there, ESP ECU, so that's basically complaining that it's not happy with the data that it's getting from the ABS. CAN bus fault codes, vehicle speed signal, that's a big red flag there. Steering angle sensor, CAN bus connection, U code, U code, U code. I'm pretty sure that fixing those two ABS sensors at the back will delete the majority of fault codes here, and fingers crossed that parking brake will work again. Now I'm going to go and have a discussion with the customer, because like I said, this is just the initial assessment, so if we need more time I'm going to need to authorise that through him. So what I will do before I do that is I'm going to go into some live data, look at the rear wheel speeds, just to make sure that they are reporting bad or reporting invalid data before giving the customer the news. So you can see here, rear left, invalid data, rear right, invalid data. We've got the two fronts which are reporting 0, which is a valid value because the car's not moving. So it looks like we've got an electrical fault with both ABS sensors. Now, whether that's going to be ABS sensors that are faulty or is that going to be the wiring? Like I said, I've lost count of how many times I've repaired wiring on these little cars, so it's more than likely going to be the wiring but we're going to do the tests that we always do anyway. We're just going to check for the proper voltage going down to the sensor, making sure that's okay. If there's, you know, resistance somewhere in the loom, you'll always see a lower voltage getting to the sensor, or there could be a complete open circuit where there's nothing getting there basically. So that's what we're going to do, but we're going to have a discussion with the customer, just let them know what's going on, where we're kind of going down the, you know, where are we going with the faults, I should say, because I like to keep the customer in the loop. I don't just like to jump ahead. You know, if he wants me to jack this up and have a look at the actual wiring itself and repair it, then I want to make sure that's all right with him first, because like I said, he's paying the bill. So let me go and have a look with him and I'll come back to you guys. So out comes the Calvin Klein umbrella. Like I said, not sponsored in any way. We've just got our test leads there hanging out of the wheel. They're old test leads, so I don't mind them getting a little bit wet. I'm just going to get my multimeter set up on that wheel, turn the ignition on, and I'll show you guys what voltage we've got going to that sensor. If we've got 12 volts, then the chances are it's just a faulty sensor and we need to get a sensor for it. If we've got a resistive path somewhere, we'll usually, you know, see something like maybe half of that or less. So I'm going to get that plugged in and I'll show you guys what we've got. Right, so the ignition is currently on, and I don't know if you guys will be able to see that, but we have got 0.69 of a volt. So we have got a open circuit somewhere, or close to an open circuit. We'll do the same test on the other side off camera. So I'm going to try my best to get the loom out as far as possible, strip it down a little bit and see where the corrosion is. Right, so we've managed to find the issue, and I really don't know how manufacturers get away with doing this. Absolutely shocking for a 5-year-old car. The loom in here is rotten. So this is split conduit. So basically you've got your conduit protection and you've got a split in the middle so you can pull the wiring out. That's basically just allowed dirt, water, grit, everything to get in there, and it's more or less corroded the ABS wiring. Now what I usually do with these is I'll repair it, but before I repair it I'll clean out the conduit, tape up the full loom, because what you've got here is the actual loom itself isn't taped from the plug going back, so that allows more water getting in. So you can see there that that's where a corroded wire is, but look at all the dirt around it. The dirt just gets in there. It's absolutely minging. It's a disgusting way to design it, to be honest. I mean, look at all the dirt in there. I mean, in the future, you can repair that there, but in the future, I guarantee you, that's going to be back. There's going to be further repairs on that. Ideally, you would probably replace the loom from here, going to the wheel, but we don't live in an ideal world. You know, we need to repair these things, get the car going. We don't want to just be chucking a new loom on it. So my plan of attack with this one is clean the loom out, tape it all up after I've repaired it, obviously. We'll get it all taped up, get it back in place, do the other side. The other side will probably be the same. Let's see if it's broken in the same area. Get all the looms put back together. We will clear the fault codes, then fingers crossed, you know, all these other faults kind of clear with it. The handbrake will hopefully go back to working order. The ADAS system will hopefully clear the fault codes that it had plenty of U codes. So yeah, fingers crossed, we'll get that repaired. It would have been a lot easier if the customer had his lock wheel nut key, but we just had to do what we had to do basically. So yeah guys, that's a very known fault. Repaired numerous amounts of these. Some are worse than others, some are in different areas, but it's just ridiculous. You know yourself, if you've got an ABS fault on a Corsa at this age, you know it's going to be in the wiring loom. It's very unlikely it's going to be the sensor. So let me get cracking on with repairing this, and I'll come back to you once we're ready to clear the fault codes. So we're on the other side, and it's the same story with this side. Got a broken wire, more or less where the other side was as well. So absolutely ridiculous. I've cleaned out the majority of the dirt within the wiring harness itself. I'm going to clean out as much of the conduit, tape up the loom after I've repaired it. get it all connected back up. It's just very, very awkward because you're having to do it with the wheel on. So it's a bit of a nightmare getting access to your hands to get into the back of the plastic shrouding in order to get the loom where it is just now. But I'll show you what the loom looks like now that I've found the other side. So this is what the loom looks like on the opposite side. So this is the near side rear. And you can see passenger rear has also got a broken wire. So we're going to get that untwisted, get it repaired, get it taped up. And yeah, hopefully, all going well, the customer will be able to drive this away fault free today. So what we're doing here is just double checking that we have indeed restored power going to the ABS sensor. Now it's important to do this before rebuilding everything back up. And as you can see, we've got close to 12 volts there. So that'll do fine. We'll get all this button back up and we'll clear the fault codes and see if we're all good to go. Right guys, so here's the moment of truth. Will this still have faults in the system, or will we be clear and the customer can take this one home without us having to come back out and do any other repairs on it? So we've rebuilt, we've refitted the loom on the near side rear, and we've also done the offside rear as well. As you've seen in the video, there was a broken wire on each side, so that is where that we carried out that repair on both sides of the rear axle. So now that we've got that done, we're going to switch the ignition on and fingers crossed all the faults will clear. Alright, so it's now time to try this out. I can see straight away that we've got our parking symbol, which we didn't have before it was flashing. So we're going to try and start it up. Now we might need to clear some fault codes as well. No warning lights on the dash. Handbrake's working. So there we have it guys. It just goes to show that the two ABS sensors at the back become an open circuit caused this car to have a complete meltdown. That's why we had faults in the ADAS, we had faults in the handbrake. The handbrake wouldn't even work. So all of those systems rely on that information from the ABS, and if that's not there, then you know, that's the reason why the dash was lit up like a Christmas tree. So what I'm going to do now is do a health scan on the car, see if there's any other fault codes, but right now we're looking absolutely amazing. We're going to clear all trouble codes. And we'll see if there's anything hanging about once we've cleared all the systems. But the chances are it'll all be good and we can move on to the next job. So let that run through a health clear, if that's what you want to call it. Like I said, haven't used this S20 on a VAUXHALL as of yet. So trouble code clearing is done. So what we can do now is we can do a rescan. Now we have got two fault codes in powertrain. All of the rest of them are clear, but let's see what we've got in powertrain. Powertrain might just need cleared individually. So we've got a CAN bus connection to the steering angle sensor. Now the steering angle sensor is working. I know that for a fact, so I'm going to just clear those ones. So I think the ignition is timed out, so I might need to go and turn the ignition on. But you guys get the gist. The dash is now clear. We will give it a little run, make sure everything's good to go. But, you know, there's not going to be any other fault codes on this now. I'll start it up again just for you guys to see. So that's us guys, we're clear. You know, there's no faults coming up with ABS, no ADAS faults, no lane assist faults, etc. So it's a fix. So now that this one's fixed, guys, what I'm going to do is leave that there. I will leave links in the description for the Megamax S20. I'll also leave a link in the description for the Topdon X-Link. There'll be a discount code for that as well. Thanks very much for supporting the channel, everybody that's subscribed up until now. Hopefully we get to 20,000 subscribers next year at some point, early next year. Fingers crossed. Thanks very much for watching. Click that like, share and subscribe button, remember. I'll see you on the next one.